SPYR.
Welcome back to Starting Now. I'm your host, Jeff Sarris. This is the show where I talk to entrepreneurs to reveal the unexpected paths to where they are today. Today, my guest is Paul Scrivens, also known as Alpha Boopie on Twitter, the creator of the Boopieverse of Boopie, Ragtags, Juju Maru NFT projects. He's done so much before NFTs even, and outside of NFTs. Just he's an entrepreneur. He's a creative. He's a creator. This was just such an amazing conversation. I feel like I always say that, but I love them all in their own way, and I'm just pumped after that. Like, what did you think over there, Amara?
I loved it. I want to be part of the Boopieverse.
No, and I think you're going to love. I forget if I've shown you the different Boopies and Juju Maru yet, but I think you're going to really like them.
I'm excited, and just hearing about the Discord and everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's a little tricky out there as a lone lady in the NFT land. So.
Oh yeah, for sure. But yeah, it is. Paul, it was like kindred spirits right away. Like, I don't want to do too much preamble because this is a great convo. So, without further ado, my conversation with Paul Scrivens, also known as Alpha Boopie. You are a doer of things for sure. Like, I feel a kinship with you. Let me just say that, just with how many different things you're up to and all your drive and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I've been like this for going on 20 years now. Just my mom's still in that, like, even the other day she said maybe you should get a less stressful job. I said, I'm not stressed. It's not stress. It's just I'm just all over the place sometimes. But sometimes, like, being all over the place sometimes that's my calmness, and that's what I like. Had to explain to my wife and everything, because she's like, I don't know how you just have everything all over the place and you're doing this. And I was like, it's just, I don't know, my brain I just have to go and everything, because I have ADHD. So I'm like, now I just bounce and everything. And it's just, I don't know, it works. Somehow it works. It's chaos and it works, but
I totally get it. I mean,
I like it.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, because the more I just like doing things as well. Like, I don't specifically have like ADHD or anything, but just doing more is satisfying to me in a way that I totally understand what you're saying. Because when people aren't going out and building something, doing something that feels like growth for them, or whatever it is, a business, whatever it is, I just don't get it. Like, if I'm not growing in some way every day, I just feel like not good, just unwell.
It's when people talk about to me like, oh, like, what's the meaning of life and why do we do things? I said for me, the meaning of life is just to create. I just want to create, because then creating is me exploring myself, and it pushes me to level myself up and everything. And it's like it's hard looking in the mirror some days and just going, I'm not leveling up, like, I'm not progressing, like, my life is not progressing and everything. Like, some people measure that with money and other things. For me, it's just like, can I, and as cheesy it is, can I look back and just be like, I tried shit. Like, I tried it. It doesn't, sure, I would love everything to succeed, but it doesn't. But it's like, I tried it though. So at least I had that experience from it and everything. And if I can't go through life experiencing a ton of things, then I don't know, it just doesn't seem like worth it.
Yeah, like, why are you here if you're not going out there, putting yourself out there and doing all this stuff?
And sorry for cursing. Is this a family-friendly thing and everything?
No. You're good with whatever. Yeah, I want you to be you through and through. Have you always felt that way, sort of, about like doing and achieving and whatnot?
Yeah, in the sense where I never felt like I mean, I went to college, and I did that thing, and they're like, okay, this is back in. So I graduated college in 2002 to show my age and everything. So back then it was still graduate college, and then you get you get a career. We should say, like, it's supposed to be like, you work for the same company for yada yada yada. And because I had so many interests, like, even back then, like, I would have my classes, but I would skip my classes and just go to the library and find different books on different subjects to read and everything, because I was like, no, I want to do this kind of stuff. And so I would get jobs here and there, but every time I would get a job, I'd I'd say, okay, like, what are we going to do as a company? Like, I always felt like, when you interview for a job, they always have this nice little slogan. They say, this is our purpose and we're here to help people and all that. And you're like, yeah, you get all hyped about that. And then you start working and they just like beat it out of you. And you're like, no, it's not really about that. It's about making money and everything. But I was always that hype, like, no, what can we do to better ourselves? How can we make this company like really fulfill its destiny and what it's here for and everything? And they just like, no, we don't really do that kind of stuff and everything. And I'm like, oh, and like, it would just drain me each time and everything. And I'd be like, no. So I would just keep on working on my own stuff on the side. And I don't know, like I would be broke a lot of times and I'd make a lot of money. Then I go broke again. I'd make a lot of money. And people are like, isn't that stressful to you? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, whatever. Like, if I made money once, I could make it a million times. I could do it over and over again. I'll figure out how to do it. But like going to that 9 to 5 where someone's just like, this is exactly how we do things. I'm like, I can't, I couldn't do it. Like it crippled me. And people just don't understand. Like, when I feel like I can't do something, I can't fake it. Like, I have no fake in me whatsoever. Like, I'm either about it or I'm not about it. Right? It's like, I can go on a date, but I'm not going to fake it if I like the girl or not. I'm gonna be like, okay, like, this isn't it. I'll pay for your tab. Let's just go our separate ways right now. Get takeout or something. Let's figure this out. But
when you were working a job, did you find yourself having to pretend to be busy? Because that's something I fell into, that I was just like, oh, this is killing me.
That's what, especially in the digital age, we work in computers, because I would either be a programmer or a designer or a project manager. And I would go, like, the last job I had, which was forever ago, I bought.
Around what year was it? I'm just curious, because mine was 2009.
2012.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, because I know we're on a very similar trajectory with everything. So, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But yeah, just curious.
I bought 12 sets of the Nerf basketball hoops, and I just put them around the office. People are like, you can't do that. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, what else? Like, if you tell me to do something, I'll do it and I'll excel at it. But if I get it done early, then like, I know you don't want me to just leave.
Yeah.
So what do you want me to do and everything? And so, but I mean, the funny thing is, like, all my coworkers started playing every once in a while. It wasn't like we were doing like hours. It was just like, okay, 10-minute break from what we're doing, let's play a little bit. Yeah, I would never fake like busy. I would just be like, look, I'm not doing anything because I've done everything. I'm waiting on you guys. So either figure out like how you could be more efficient or just let me roam and do something.
It's so important. And that's something that I think the 9 to 5 work world really misses out on. Maybe now it's better since like COVID and remote work and all these things. But like with me, like I was working in IT doing physical hardware support across 7 locations, local government stuff. And it was one of those things where you had to be busy all the time. If you're not busy, why do you have a job? And I'm like, if I'm busy all the time, if I'm running around, I am not doing my job well. And that's a problem. Like if everything's breaking, that shouldn't be a detriment to me that I'm actually efficient and doing things well. I should be able to just be like, oh, well, I could come in a little later today or leave earlier or do whatever it is. But yeah, such a rigid 9 to 5 or 8 to 5.
And I think that's the struggle of being a manager when you have people under you, because sometimes in the business world where like they drill into our head, business is about getting results. And so as a manager, when you're not directly responsible for the results because you have your hands in everything, you're kind of just like, well, I'm probably not going to get the results because my people aren't working hard enough. They're not doing my thing. When it should just be like, hey, if it takes us 4 weeks and it's supposed to be 12 weeks, but it takes us 4 weeks to get there, do it in 4 weeks. And then, maybe we'll do something cool for the other 8 weeks, but it's not ingrained in managers like that. It always has to be like, no, my upper management boss is looking at me and they're asking, am my people doing all this work and everything? So I have to just make sure people are just busy doing stuff. But it's also like with companies will hire thousands of people. And it's like, why do you have so many people working for you? And it's everything. And it's just like, oh, we just have to fit. We're supposed to hire people. We're supposed to fill in the gaps. And it's like, no, you just have people just sitting there doing nothing and everything. And you can't be mad at them.
Yeah.
Because you're also not paying them to do, like you gave them the role to do. They technically they shouldn't just be like, okay, I'm gonna do this, but I'm also gonna do extra work. Because it's like you're not paying them for that extra work. You're paying for that role you did and everything. So I don't know, it's a weird dynamic happening nowadays in the corporate world and everything.
It really is. And I know in terms of design, you have minimalistic sort of tendencies. Do you feel that in business as well?
Yeah. It's always like my design style is only minimalistic in the sense that I will throw everything on a page and then be like, what doesn't belong here and everything. And then I take everything away and everything. So when it comes to business, I'll have the million ideas. I'm like, okay, I have to do all this stuff. And then I'm able to take a step back. I'm like, it's that 80-20 principle where I'm like, okay, no, it's only this 20% that is actually needed with stuff and everything. So when people, when I used to be a web designer, people are like, oh my God, like your designs, like, how do you get them like that? And I'm like, it's never like A to B. It's A, M, X, Y, like, and then somehow it just happens to be there and it shows up like that and everything. But it's always chaos to get there. And I think that's what some people are just scared to do, is just throw a lot of things out there just to see like what sticks, what works, what isn't supposed to be there. Because as adults, school trains us in the wrong way, in that we fear making mistakes. Like we're totally scared of making mistakes. So either at your job, you get yelled at if you make a mistake, or if someone's like, okay, and I'm gonna start doing my own thing. They're so scared. They're always like, teach me how to do it the right way, correctly. And I'm like, I can give you like the estimate of things that, you could do, but you still have to experiment and just see. Like, you just have to know and everything. It's like one of my best friends. He has this perfect ideal vision of his wife. Like this, and I'm pretty sure this person does not exist, right? But it's always like, I'm like, dude, you just got to go out and you just date a lot of people and everything and just see. Like, you don't know what's gonna to gel with you and what's going to work and whatnot. And he's like, no, it's this one. And he's 42 and single, still, just because people are just scared to just go out and try. And like, it's a shame. It feels like, for me, for a lot of people, our best times are when we're like 5 years old and there's not a care in the world and we're just trying, experimenting, and we're learning the world. And I just try to tell people, like, if you can just go back to that childhood mindset where it's not about mistakes. Like, kids make mistakes and they're just kind of like, cool, like I learned something. Like, now I know not to do that thing. Let me try this next thing. And it's like, like that's how I try to live my life now. I just want to try stuff all the time. So
yeah, a childlike curiosity is so valuable. I have a friend, every time I talk to him, he's like, he's German and he's always just like, I don't want to call you childish, but there's just that, you just have that childlike sense that like there's always just this energy. We have fun. Like right. Why can't like this conversation? Like we literally hit the ground running here. It was one of those things that's just like go. There's so many things, so much stuff that's just fun and exciting to us to talk about that it gives a different a shade to the world when you look at it from a perspective of possibility rather than maybe like why me, which a lot of people can do. But there's so much possibility and opportunity out there in so many different areas of life.
Right. And I mean, life, you should just wake up every day and just ask yourself, how am I going to find joy today? How can I find joy? And if you just live thinking through that, then you'll find yourself stretching yourself a little bit. Like, I wonder what this will happen. Like one of the worst things you can do to me is tell me you don't like a certain food without trying it. Like, and I'll be like, I'll slap the shit out of you. I'm like, no, like, let's at least try this thing. And then you can tell me if you don't like it or not. But people are like, why do you always try all these foods? And I'm like, because I don't know if I'll like it or not. Like, and it just seems exciting and fun. Let's just do it. People are like, oh no, I'm like, you get away from me. Like, I don't like, I just don't even want to be around you or anything like that. But I mean, and that's like, that was the beauty of NFTs. Last year when I got into it, it was just like this whole expanse of like, we don't even know what's possible. Yeah. And it's like all these adults finally going back to what I thought was going to be like the childhood wonderment of like, let's just experiment and play and have fun and everything. And I was like, okay, I'm all about this and everything. So let me give it a shot and stuff. So
yeah, for sure. And on this, I always like to sort of rewind a little bit to origin stories, just get the path. We have some bullet points already, and then we'll dive into Odd Wonderful and everything there with the Boopieverse, with Boopie. I love what you're doing, and like through and through. So I don't even know where to start because I have a list of websites I found for you, which is just, it speaks to me. I have way too many domain names, way too many projects and things. But you have like Maker's Mob, Main Business, Paul Scrivens, you, Infinite Noodle. I love all the noodle stuff. Struggle.co, Obstacle, Odd Wonderful, A Mellow Boop, Odd Noodle, Pocket Business. So much. And it all fits though. It all connects in a way that like flows through you and even into Boopie and NFTs, and it shows sort of who you are. What would you say right now? Like, there's so many things I want to talk about, but where you are right now with all these different things going, right? Where would you say? What sort of pots do you have your hand in right now?
so about 2 months ago, and we'll do the real talk for the audience, because they never know what happens behind the scenes. So last year around September, Pocket Business was my main business, and that's where I teach people, like, if they want to make courses or digital products to, if they have a job, they want to quit the job, or basically just a way make 6-7 figures on their own and everything by teaching other people how to do stuff. And then I got into NFTs, and I was like, oh, this seems fun. Let me play around with this stuff. And so I launched Boopie Gen 1 in October. And I think with that launch, it was a supply of 2,000, and the mint price was 0.5 sold, but that doesn't mean anything. Basically, I made 150K from that mint and everything. And so I was like, okay, well, I had this whole community now that is looking for me to do stuff, and I have this chunk of money. I'm going to put all my time into this. So I put the Pocket Business stuff to the side, because I still had 2 other employees who can run things. And so I would be over there every once in a while, but my main time was with Boopie and everything. And every time I create something, I go, what will entertain me? Like, I never think about what entertains my audience. I'm like, how can I have fun with this? And I hope that I just find people who are like me, and just be like, okay, like, because I don't want to force anything. And so that's what I was doing with Boopie. I was doing like airdrops, I was doing merch, and I was, and I was like, and there were some people in the community like, oh, we love this, like, we're having fun with it and everything. And I'm like, great, but like the price wasn't going up and everything. And I was like, okay, let me do something else. Let me do something really cheap. Let me do ragtag. So I was like, let me just design ragtags. I had this cool idea for these ragtag things. Let me do those. So I did those. And it was like, okay, like the actual core community was like, we love it and everything. But I wasn't that type who was going to go out and overhype things and like try to oversell it to the point where people have these huge aspirations that if I get this one NFT, this is the NFT that's going to make me $10,000-$20,000. Because I'm very conscious of how that kind of talk, especially with what I do with Pocket Business, how that kind of talk, selling dreams to people and then selling them short, can break people and everything, right? Like, it could just destroy people and everything. And so I always try to say, I create these things, I want you to have fun, but I'm going to do something that's going to make you have fun with the experience. What happens with the price, I don't know, but I'm going to make it my job to just let you have fun with what we're doing and everything. So basically we get to this summer, and it's not really selling that much. And I'm like, I'm not going to try to do all these new mints and everything. And so I was like, but like Boopie's my, like, Boopie Odd Wonderful, like, that's my life. Like, I said, like, this is my passion project. I am not this, like, I have to see this through, whatever through is, like, I have to go to them. So I was like, okay, I need to start making money consistently again on the side, so I don't worry about a roof over my head, and my wife doesn't like keep, like, are you doing another Boopie? Please, like, do something. And I'm like, huh. And so I sat down and I was like, okay, how can I formulate this maker's mob with the education side that will bring in the consistent money again, while I can still maintain doing the Odd Wonderful stuff and everything. And so right now, to answer the question, right now, my main hands are Struggle College on one hand, and trying to build out Odd Wonderful on the other. But it's like 2 totally different dynamics and everything. So sometimes I have to like say, okay, this day I'm going to work on this thing, and this next day I'm going to work on this other thing. So
but it strikes me that it doesn't weigh on you that much to switch between the two. Is that true?
No, it would weigh on me if I only had one thing to do. Like, because the way my ADHD works is I'll work on something and I'll have a goal, and then once I'm done with it, bored is not the right term, but I'll just be like, okay, I just need a break from this, and I need to bounce to that next fun thing. And so having the 2 projects is always like, okay, I'm done with that. Let me work on this one. Now I'm going to work on that. Let me go to that one. So I like the dynamic of switching. I'm sure to the outside world it's not efficient and everything, but and the reality of it is, for like August, which was last month, a lot of it was like focusing back on Struggle College, getting it built up and getting it to the point where a lot of things are more automated and everything. And so now I have a little more focus on Odd Wonderful, and I have this whole new vision of this business plan that I'm like, okay, if I can nail this will just settle everything with what I want to do, and I'll be fine.
Is that something you can touch on now? Something you want to?
Yeah. So the whole dynamic of NFTs, and this is what I always talk about on my Alpha Boopie Twitter account, is, and I wrote about this a long time. Like, to me, it's a broken system in the sense where I understand people buy the NFTs to make money. Like, I totally get that, and I don't think that will ever go away. I don't think it should be removed. But when that is the primary utility of NFTs, for people to just buy them just to make money, then the whole narrative around NFTs becomes flawed to people who are in the outside world who don't get NFTs. Because we keep on saying we need to bring more people into NFTs, but if somebody goes, why should I buy an NFT? What are you logically going to say? Well, you buy it and it might go up in price and then you can make money. Like, to the most people in the world, like, that doesn't make sense. Like, okay, that seems scammy. Like, why would I want to get involved in that and everything? And then you see what happens is a project will mint, and if something doesn't happen immediately with the floor price, everything, the community starts to rebel and start asking questions. And so as a creator, I've been in business for so long, like, it never bothered me at the beginning. Like, because I set the tone early. I was like, this is what this is about. If you're worried about the floor price, you can bounce, but if you want to stick with me, just know I'm gonna keep on trying different things and everything. But I could see how other people, because there's a lot of young people doing these projects and everything. And so having like hundreds or thousands of people just going like, what the hell are you doing? Why are you not making the price go up and everything? I could see why it's just very overwhelming. And they just like, I don't need this pressure. And they leave. And then people get mad. Like, why is this project soft rugging? And it's like, some of them probably, intend to just take the money and run. Like, those are never condoned. But it's those who are like, I had good intentions, but I didn't know I had a mob after me 24/7 on my Discord, like hounding me, like, why aren't you doing something about it when it's out of my control?
That's really the inexperience. It's something I talk to people about a lot. Is in this space, it has astonished me how few people exist like yourself who've done this. You've gone through this before with other things, and you understand, like, nothing is an overnight success. Like, that whole overnight success is always like sort of overblown, and you want something that's sustainable. So that's why I've always connected no floor talk in our project to no one's talking about the floor. It's just connection, people.
Right. And so what happens is, though, like, your community doesn't understand why floor price might go up or something. So they'll say, this project did this one thing. Why can't we do this one thing? Thinking like that's always the connection. And it's never that connection. And so I know I tried to play the game a little bit in the sense I was like, okay, this seemed to work for this project. Let me try this. And then after like a couple of weeks or months, I was like, okay, this is dumb. Like, I'm not the type to be on Twitter and do 100 tweets a day.
Yeah.
Or like overly, like I said, like overly hype something like, oh, you guys can't, guess what? Something big's coming. I can't say anything about it, but it's coming. And then like every week you just keep on saying that without saying anything at all and everything. And so I started thinking like, okay, like the idea is for NFTs, the utility, there's a million different things you could probably do with NFTs themselves. But how I saw them was, okay, now you have this chance to create these characters, and you have these characters that you get. And it was astonishing to me that we'd have some people in the community, they would mint something and they would just develop their own backstory for it. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like, okay, like now you're building that connection behind it and everything. And what drew a lot of people initially to what I was doing was I did a lot of lore, and people were like, oh, I love the lore. I love where this is going and everything. And so I said, okay, like we're adults, we're spending a little bit of money here. People just want to find that escape, that joy, and that passion with certain things. So how can I do this in a way where I could separate the money aspect of NFTs, but still have my own sustainable business going? So the way I'm leaning is with the Odd Wonderful platform, where you can play all the different NFTs in a certain way. But that part's not actually that important right now. Is a sense where if I said, for $100 a year, I'll create I'll send you 6 new NFTs from 6 unique collections each year. And those are tied to whole new lore. You could do questing with all that kind of stuff and everything. And then I'm gonna have 0 royalties on my side, but I'll give 2% royalties to the DAO and everything. So I'm not attached to the price and everything. Whatever the price of it ends up being, that's the community. That's all on you. but understand that I'm going to build this thing out where you can play and enjoy things, and you're going to get that experience of seeing your characters, develop stories and relationships and all that. And so you can go and say, oh, I'm really having fun with this thing. Because if the idea is more you're having fun with what you're getting and what you're experiencing, then it's not like, oh, I spent $100 for these 6. Like, that's what I want you to get away from. Like, yeah, you can still sell them because they're your NFTs now. You can still do that fun stuff and everything. But I want to detach you from, I'm sending you these things because I think you're going to make a lot of money. It's like, I'm sending you these things because I just want you to have fucking fun. Like, you're an adult. Let's find a way to have fun with this kind of stuff. And I think that's where NFTs can go. So if you're going to pay, $100 a year plus for Hulu or Netflix and everything that's all we do as people for entertainment. We just watch stories and everything. Then I said, why can't we just have it where you own the character who is the main character of the story that you get to create for yourself and everything. So that's where I'm trying to go with it.
I like it. How are you looking at it for the subscription itself? Like, would it still be tied through ETH? Is it something you're looking at almost like a recurring monthly payment? Sort of, where are you at right now?
That I totally haven't figured out. Like, there's obviously 2 ways where I could just say I'm going old school, and it's get your credit card out, $100 a year, like this is it. And there's reasons why I could justify why it would be through a credit card and everything. But then I can also say where I'll probably lean going is each year represents a season. So it's just like a TV show. So season 1, season 2. So each collection will have the same theme for each season, but they'll have different stories being told. So I might say, if you want to, get your mint token for season 1, here it is. And so if you hold this token, then for the next 12 months, you'll get airdrop something every other month and everything. And so then everybody gets to go through that. They experience it. And then I said, okay, season 2's here. And I'll just start it over again and everything. So then if some people don't want to worry about the recurring aspect, but they want to get in on it, then it sets it like that. And my thinking is, I just got to sell the subscription aspect. Once that part's done, then I just go back and building and telling stories and everything, and let everybody else just focus on, if they want to be flippers and all that, go and be flippers.
Yeah, that's the subscription side is something that sadly I haven't seen at all in this space, which is so vital to any sustainable business, like some sort of subscription model. I mean, like everything we do as a bit, like my business is called SPYR, and everything we do for us and our clients, it all comes back to subscriptions, because you don't want to sell to a new person every month, every week, every year, whatever it is.
Right. Then the big problem in the space is you have this project that says, okay, we get our mint funds. Now how are we going to make more money? We got to get our money off the secondary. So we have to keep on, and that's where you get the community on Twitter. It just sucks reading Twitter, NFT Twitter. It's just all like bullshit and everything. Because people just have to continuously hype, because they want to say, I don't want people to sell off. If they sell our NFTs, then the floor price is going to go down. Everybody's going to complain, and people are going to disappear. So we got to keep volume up. So we got to keep on doing this artificial, crap that I was just like that's not me. And I understand but I always accept that's the game. So I said, if I'm not going to play the game that way, I have to figure out a way to make it sustainable for me, where I can still be in the game in some way and everything. Right. It doesn't help if I stand on my mountaintop and go, you guys need to change. Everybody else needs to change, and you need to fix how we do it. Like, it doesn't work that way. I just say, you guys keep on doing your things your way. I'm going to approach it from a different angle, and let's see how this plays out. So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm excited then to see. Like, I'm excited about what you're doing already, but knowing the subscription aspect really, it sparked some thought for me immediately, because it's a great idea, and it's definitely needed. And then doing, the $100 a year, was that coming back sort of to the concept of like Kevin Kelly's 1,000 true fans? Was that sort of where you picked that number, or?
I honestly have no idea where that number came from.
Okay.
I think I said it in my head, and I go, NFT people spend way more than that.
Yes.
A year on 100. And I was like, $100 isn't like, I hate to say this because I don't know who's going to, like $100 technically over a year is not that much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. When you break it down by the month and everything, like we have subscriptions that are more than that regularly.
It's less than $10 a month.
Yeah.
And everything. And so I said, if I can do that for 10,000 people, I don't know about, I'll try to reach 10,000 people, but I'm like, that's $1 million a year and everything. That's more than enough for me to get a designer, get a developer. So I don't have to do that kind of stuff, and I focus on stories, and we just build stuff out and everything, and people can see that they're getting something. And I also like the idea of someone going, all right, well, I don't have to worry about this business going out of business. I don't have to worry about this guy disappearing and everything because, you know, his volume is low or any of that other stuff. Like, he actually has a business and everything, and I'm getting something out of it. And because I'm getting something out of it, I'm okay with it and everything.
And I'm having fun, because that's
right.
the central tenet of it all, is having fun.
Right. So, I mean, if you can, and I think that's going to be the hard aspect of, like, I can talk to people like you and other people in the community, and they'll be like, oh my God, we have to do this. Like, this is amazing. And everything. And I'm like, because you guys have been around forever. So you understand the essence of things. Like, that's your person. The thing is, I need to find 5,000 of you guys who understand this kind of concept and want to go with it, versus the mindset that it is now of like, okay, like, am I going to make money off of this? And it's like, you know, I don't know. Like, maybe you will, maybe you won't. I don't know. Yeah. Like, that's not my thing and everything.
I like the disconnecting of royalties, saying I'm taking 0 for me on secondary as sort of a, I don't want to say sign of good faith, but just sort of like really to emphasize this secondary isn't the point. The point is over here, and I'm going to prove that through my actions by showing like I'm not taking 5%, 2%, 10%, whatever it is. That is completely up to you guys.
Right. And I think it's very little things that you can do as a business to kind of show what your intentions are and everything. A perfect example was a couple of days ago, there was a free mint. I won't call it out for what it was, but it's like the largest free mint ever unsold. And I didn't know much about it, but we were talking about it in Discord. And I asked the person that I was talking to, I said, you know, what's the percentage of the royalty set as? And he said 6.9%. I said, okay, watch. This person, if this thing starts taking off, he's going to change that to a higher percentage. The next day I go, it's 10%. And I log into their Discord, and there's like no mention of it. And nobody has said it because nobody knows that it had happened and everything. And I'm like, and the person I was talking to, he's like, oh, that's shady. And I was like, no, that's just the mentality of the space. Like, that's just how it is. How can I get my money?
Yeah.
And everything. So I totally expected it to happen, even though, you know, I wish it didn't happen like that, but I don't know. It's just bad vibes. Like, I don't know. And you just see, like, there's a lot of people that were in it before that were having a lot of fun. And I hate to see, like, creative people, like artists that get so excited about entering NFTs, and they'll create something and people will just be like, okay, like, what are we supposed to do with this thing now?
Yeah.
And it's like, people are like, I don't know. I just created one cool piece of art. Like, why can't you just enjoy this one cool piece of art and everything? People are like, no. But so that's what I also want to do with Odd Wonderful over time, is bring in other people who just say, you know, I have this idea for this collection, this brand and everything, and just have it where they can just jump in, tell their own stories, and, you know, do it more like a, not totally open source, but imagine if like Pixar, Disney just kind of opened the doors and just said, here's our platform, create stuff and have fun and everything.
And it's fun, like, because that's exactly my vision for what I've been doing. So we're on the ETH side, but having like an umbrella, like almost like instead of Disney Pixar, I've said sort of like Marvel. You have all these different, like, it's a universe that it's there. It's a multiverse is what it comes down to. And like bringing in other artists and people who are like Discord, very different. I was just talking to someone earlier today about Discord and how it's tough to manage a Discord, make it like interesting and give
Discord's terrible. I hate Discord.
Yeah, everyone does. I don't know anyone who likes it. That's the thing. But it's like a necessity, quote unquote.
At the moment, right.
But like figuring out a system where maybe there is this umbrella. Like I was just talking about it earlier. It's something I've always had in mind, but an umbrella Discord where it's like, let's just say Marvel Discord, but you know, you can find Boopie, you can find this, you can find that, all under there on their own channel. Or general is where everyone who all has the same approach, like that you and I share, that this isn't, we're not about flipping. I'm not about buying and turning this around for a profit. I'm about doing something fun as an adult, like coming together around something we love and something we can rally around.
And for those that watch, I'm not trying to discourage the flipping aspect. I think that's always going to be an aspect. But the way a good analogy to me, even though it's not perfect apples out, would be comic book collectors. Like people who collect comic books, the main community wants to read the stories. They want to get the enjoyment. But you also have the flippers. The problem with NFT is the flippers are the main community and not the minor community and everything. And so when you get into NFTs, it's just like, okay, I want to have fun. People are like, nope, you better make money. And you're like, oh, okay, I got to make money and everything. But going back to Discord, like the whole idea for me for Odd Wonderful platform is like, how do I just get people onto the website? Because it's tough for me. It's tough for me to go to, like my mom, she does anything I do, she's going to follow. She's going to follow along and everything. So she's into NFTs now. She does this, nice. But I'm not going to be like, hey mom, get into Discord and everything, because that's where all your information is going to be. Or like, if you want to get NFTs, like it seems dumb to me that you have to be in Discord or you have to live on Twitter to get to the true value at the moment of what NFTs are.
And if we want
to live in those spaces,
if we want to sort of hit that curve, like we're still in the early adopter phase sort of like a life cycle. So it's like, if you want to hit that curve to sort of early majority kind of thing, it needs to be much more welcoming, much more like friendly to every person.
100% has to be accessible, because, and I did this rant on Twitter one day about like how shit posting for NFT Twitter just like holds it back, and people are like, you're crazy, we're having fun and everything. I'm like, I know you're having fun. Yeah. But you can't talk about you having fun in this way and, talking about dicks and all this kind of stuff and then say, we want the outside world to come join us. Because the outside world's looking in like, what the hell is that happening over there? I'm not going anywhere near that stuff and everything. And it's like, people are like, oh, you want us to be family friendly? I'm like, you guys are missing the point. Like, if you want to sell something to your audience, you have to be presentable in some way. Like, there has to be better presentation of what this whole NFT ecosystem is supposed to be about and everything. And if you guys aren't going to do it, I'll try my best to do it on my side and everything. Like, I can't guarantee that it'll work, but at least I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
And everything.
Yeah. What's the value they get? That's what it comes down to for any sort of transaction, is the buyer needs some sort of value, needs to see a value, not just people yelling about price and floor and everything.
Right. And so I talked about diversity one time where I was like, you can kind of tell the NFT space is a lot of young white men. And somebody was like, you can't tell that by everybody's anonymous and everything. I'm like, no, sit in the Discord and see how everybody talks and everything and how they're like, it's obvious and everything. And so I wasn't like saying that's a bad thing, but I was like, you can't say NFTs are welcoming when a woman, we'll just say like a black woman joins the Discord, and then you see they're going to be like, well, we don't say racist things. I'm like, it's not that you're saying racist things, it's the way you're acting and behaving in a certain way. There's certain language that you just use that doesn't fit for everybody else and everything. And so it's like, if you aren't that person that's shit posting and, making fun of everybody and telling everybody to go have sex with your mom and everything, then where are you supposed to fit in at?
Yeah.
Like, where? And so with like the Odd Wonderful Discord, like from the beginning, like people try to start talking like that. I said, nope. Like, no, we're not having that. And some people are like, well, if you discourage that, then people are going to leave. I said, I'm fine with that. I'll start small. Like, I'll start with 2 people and everything. But as long as when new people come in, they know anybody can talk. Anybody's going to get help. Anybody's going to be receptive and everything. So, I mean, hopefully like when you joined, it was, somewhat welcoming, and
absolutely,
you weren't like, oh God, like, why did I join this thing and everything?
Well, and that's why immediately, like, I think it was one of my first things I said. I was like, I'm so excited to be here because I feel like I've found more of my people, because it is like also a new person entering. You have, you've curated the community in a way, like everyone knows, people like us act in ways like this is sort of how the community is. So if someone were to come in and be like when Moon, when this, when that, or just be a shitty person.
Right.
You have what is it, Odd Beetroot in there, who's like,
oh, we get people jumping
all
quick.
the time. Yeah. And like just making sure like we have a culture here. We've built this culture deliberately because this is the world, the Web3 world we want to live in and we want to exist. So it's important.
Right. And I think that's for a lot of the younger people who get started building these projects, they're not used to that lead by example type stuff, like because a lot of them still have that I just want to be accepted by everybody, so however anybody else acts, that's just how I'll act, just like my community acts and everything. And that's when things just become chaos. And I've been in those discords where I'm like where's your mother at, like where's you guys mamas at and everything. And it's just crazy town. And it's just like, I don't know. For me, it never seems like that's going to be sustainable.
Yeah.
Long term, if you want that kind of growth. Because I look at Odd Wonderful and I do want to have fun, but I also think of how can I make this $1 billion thing? Like what would need to be in place? Not saying they would ever get that or even close, but what would need to be in place to even make sure I'm not sabotaging myself? And it starts with like, okay, like I got to have people acting like humans and courteous to each other. And like those are very basic things. So I have to set that tone from the beginning.
Yeah. And sort of, you alluded to it before, but so many projects they mint, make a bunch of money, and then they're like, okay, now how do we make money? Like that isn't a business. Like that is a product you sold for maybe one day. And then it's like, that's not where you start. How do we make money?
Right.
Here's an NFT we could launch. We're going to keep going. And yeah,
it's totally scary in that people, I haven't followed the NFT Twitter space lately, but before the people used to plan like all the roadmaps are the same. And I'm like, they're allowed to be the same because you guys keep on minting them.
Yeah.
And they keep on selling out. You guys keep on buying. Like there's no reason for anybody to change or even to think further. But it's also for someone like me who goes, okay, how can I build a business around this? It could be very intimidating for a lot of people just to see how the space is and everything. And they're like, okay, I don't want to touch any of that and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to stay away from it. And so it has been like since January, I've been constantly thinking, okay, like, how can I make this a business that NFTs are just a part of, but NFTs aren't the thing and everything. So it was like, okay, if Disney had to start over from scratch, Disney started from 21st century today. And they said, okay, we know Web3 is the future. How do we integrate Web3? But everything doesn't have to be Web3 and everything like doesn't have to be like that. And so I know, I think I got it. But it's also one of those things like, if I was a better NFT marketer, I'd probably be hyping it up right now with this talk, like, oh, this is gonna be it. But like in my head, I'm just like, no, just build it and let's see what happens with it. And let's just go with it.
There's a purity to that though, right? Because like I'm not a salesperson. Like we've never promoted, sold, marketed anything we've done. It's all word of mouth. Right. It's building relationships with people. It's helping others. That's something that's lacking in this space, which I feel like is something you do. This is a thread through everything you do, is helping others achieve what they want in their life.
It's Seth Godin, like, the king of marketing. He has this book, This is Marketing, and he said something. He said, the purpose of marketing is to serve your audience. And like, I don't know, I remember I read that line and I was just like, oh, okay. Oh. Because when you look at not large brands and corporations, but when you look at like the individuals that are succeeding, all they're doing really is just waking up and going, okay, how can I help you today?
Yes.
And it sounds cheesy when people are like, oh, all you got to do is help people to make more money and everything. Because people are like, whatever, but people look out for people like that. They hunt for people like that. Like, okay, can you help me and everything? And if like, okay, yeah, I can help you. And I'll do it for free and I'll do all this stuff. Then people go, oh, they might not buy from you, but they'll recommend you to somebody and everything. But it builds something that is hard to see from the outside. Because from the outside, you're like, okay, what tactics did they use? Were they using paid ads? Were they doing sponsored posts on Twitter and everything? That's like, no, that's just a good person. Like that's just a good person doing good things and everything. And it just builds up over time. Like it looks slow, but then the compound effect starts happening and it just builds up and it goes and everything.
That is the thing. So like, actually then I want to ask sort of how you made that transition from your job, having a day job, like 2012-ish, into what you then started pursuing. Because for me, it's exactly what you were just describing. There was, we come sort of from the same space, like Brian Clark, copy blogger, all those people, right? Do you remember Dave Navarro way back when? Okay, yeah. So he was someone when he had Rock Your Day, all these products and things like 2008, 2009. He was doing like audio courses, like podcasts before podcasting. Right. And I reached out. I was like, the branding, the cover art, all this stuff, it could be better. Like, here you go. And he's like, oh, this is awesome. Thanks. Like, could you do this? I'm like, okay, here you go.
Right.
Like, then one day, like in 2009, I lost my job. And I was like, just so you know the things I do. These are the things I can offer. I don't have a job anymore. If there's any way I can help you whatsoever, let me know. He's like, I have a new membership program. Would you be in the forum and answer questions about web design and development and all these business building things. And I was like, sure. And I'm in there. You remember Men with Pens? Do you remember them? Yeah. So I was in there for a week or 2 weeks. And James from Men with Pens was like, okay, like DM, whatever it was, DM me on Twitter or something. And she's just like, who are you? Because in the matter of no time, people were mentioning me and Men with Pens side by side. And she's like, this doesn't make any sense. What's going on? And we started talking. And then I became the developer for Men with Pens. Everything that set me up, then like that was a couple of years. Then we started SPYR, did all these things all the way down the line. But everything that set me up is exactly what you're saying. How can I help? Dave Navarro wasn't the only one that I was like reaching out to like offer help, but that was the one that just so happened to have a return on that investment. But the investment was really, I love what you're doing. I want to help. And I think that's such an underappreciated, overlooked kind of thing. It's just exactly what you're saying. Just help somebody do something.
And it's because we do live in a world where we can very easily surround ourselves with people who just take from us and everything. You know, like we have these friends that will go out of our way to help, and then when we need to help, like they don't show up and everything. And so it feels weird to probably do it with a stranger online when we also have that expectation of like, I hope I make money somehow out of this and everything. And the whole mindset changes though when you go, how can I approach this transaction to make money versus how can I approach this transaction just to help this person? But you also back ahead, you kind of know like if I help this person, I do a good job, there's a good chance I will get money.
Yeah, there's
everything. Like it's not being naive about
opportunity. That's the thing. Right. You're building a relationship, like a real, not like a Rolodex connection, but no, like a relationship with a human.
Right. And so when I did the first Gen 1 Boopies, we have this person in the community, Caladium, who just created her own version of a Boopie. I was like, oh, this is amazing and everything. And I was like, do you want to create a collection? Like, and I was like, I'll auction it. She's like, what do you mean? And I was like, you have these Boopies. They're cool. Create them and I'll put them up at auction. I'll promote them out to everybody. I'll get your name out. She's like, why would you do that? I'm like, because it's cool. Like, it's just cool and everything. And it seems like, she's like, that would help me a lot. I'm like, okay, cool. But this is cool. Let's just do this and everything. And so we went with that. And then the same with, he did the, I don't know if he wants his name up there. So, but the person who did the historians, he did a Boopie. And I was like, this is fucking amazing. I was like, we gotta do a whole collection of these. And he's like, what? And then like they always come to like, okay, like how much are you gonna take? And like I always give like super, super generous terms, like always in their favor. They're like, why? Like why would you do that? I'm like, because it's your thing. Like you're doing the work and everything. You're creating, like, I'm just gonna be the mouth behind it, promoting it and everything. But it's like it's your vision, it's your thing. You deserve to be rewarded for it. And like there have been times where because I did that, you know, I'd be like, hey, I wasn't trying to use them, but I would just think of an idea like, hey, can you just create this thing real quick? And then they don't ask for anything back because they're just like, I assume they're just like, yeah, we cool. Like, you know, we cool. But I don't reach out 1,000 times a week and be like, can you do stuff? Like, but that's just what I do. I just always look around and I'm like, you know, how can I help you with whatever outcome or dream that you have and everything? Not because I'm thinking that it's going to do something, but it just makes me feel good and everything. And for anybody watching this, if you have low self-esteem, the best way to build self-esteem is to help other people. For some reason, it's a flywheel effect that just builds up your confidence and makes you feel better. I just like people smiling and everything. Like in my 20s, I was always in the clubs and everything. And I would always get tables and bottles and everything. And I wasn't doing it to show up. I was just doing it because my friends that didn't have much money, I'm like, no, just come in. We're going to drink. And I would hand bottles out to people and everything. And I would just see smiles on people's faces. And for some reason, when people smile, it gives me more energy and it makes me feel like 1,000,000 times better about myself. So no matter what situation I'm in, even in real life, if you get me somewhere, I'm going to try to make people laugh. I want people to have fun because it's a force of habit. Like I have to make you have fun around me to just enjoy this experience that we're having.
Yeah. I mean, I think that is an amazing trait to have because like there's a gravity to that. Like people want to be around you because you're helping them have a great time, helping them feel better, which then in turn just cycles right back. And then they give you that energy. They almost reflect it back. It's it's hugely valuable. And again, it's not transactional. You're not like, I did this for them. I did this for Joe. Let me see if Joe now pays me back one day. It's like,
If you think like that, you've lost already. Like you've lost before you begun, and everything. Like you're pretty much just going to end up disappointed in life and everything.
Absolutely.
So you go on a date with this girl. You can't think this is going to lead to sex after. You got to think like, how can we just enjoy the night? Because then whether it happens after, you enjoyed the night like that. You got what you wanted, right? Like you got that enjoyment because that was your goal and everything. You're good and everything. Anything else is a bonus.
So when you're
all you young men, that's how you should approach dating. All you young men, just make sure they have fun during the night and everything.
So I actually, along those lines, I wanted to ask then, what does winning look like for you as you're spinning up maybe a new business, a new project, a new product? How do you look at winning? Or winning or a goal or whatever it is?
That's a great question, because there's a great book by Simon Sinek called The Infinite Game. And the idea is there are two types of games. There's a finite game where there's a determined set of rules and there's a certain thing you have to do to win it and everything. But in those kind of games, there's only one winner, everyone else loses. Or you can play the infinite game. The only objective with the infinite game is to just keep playing. And business itself is an infinite game. Like you can't win in business. Business has been around before we were born. It's going to be around when we're dead and everything. So the idea for me is just, how can I just keep on playing? And so that's what I'm doing with Odd Wonderful. Is like, I'm not going, okay, how can I be the #1 volume NFT project? How can I be the top dog where everybody's talking about it? It's just like, no, how can I just keep on doing this forever? You know, there's going to be some days where somebody's going to go, your project sucks. Your project's the bottom project. And I'll be like, okay, I can live with that because I'm playing the infinite game. Like, it doesn't matter. There'll be some days we'll be at the top and people are like, oh my God, you're at the top and everything. You must feel ecstatic. I'm like, it is what it is. Like, I'm playing the infinite game and anything. So when it comes to winning, it's just that idea of like, can I just wake up and continue doing what I want to do? As long as I can keep on doing that, that's my definition of winning and everything.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense. And I've seen you've used the infinite sort of framework in some of the stuff, in some of your courses and things, right?
It changes the whole mindset of how you approach things, because another example, like relationships are infinite games. Like you can't win in marriage. Like one person doesn't win, one person loses. So if we just look at it as like, let's just see how long we could just make this continue forever. It changes how you approach things, because if you're having an argument's about winning and losing. Like I have to win to get my point across, but when you're like, no, I'm playing the infinite game here. It's just like, does this really matter what we're arguing about? Anything, you know? No, okay, like then it's over and done and everything. It's a complete mindset shift and it changes, but it's also hard to communicate that to the NFT people who are like, no, we need this, and I'm like, because there are some projects that go, oh, we're in this for the long run, but they just say it because everybody else says it. They don't understand what it means to be in the long run. They don't understand what it means to, wake up and be like, okay, nobody cares about your stuff. Or you have people just bitching about you. Like they don't understand that aspect of everything. So it's like, okay, you're in it for the long run because you have the vision that everything's going to go right. Are you in it for the long run when everything's going wrong for the first 3 months? Like, are you still in it for the long run? Probably not. And everything. So when I tell people, this is my thing. Like, Odd Wonderful, like this is my thing. I feel like this is the whole thing I've been waiting my whole life for and everything, because it's like you could be a child, you can make money, you get to create, you get to have fun while there's a business involved in it, and people will be like, this is actually a serious business. And I'm like, this is too perfect. Like I can never let this opportunity go. I have to keep on doing this thing here. Yeah,
absolutely. Actually, when you were young, did you see yourself as like artist, creator, storyteller, computer guy?
The funny thing is, I was always jealous of creative people, because I would see someone do some art and I'm like, oh, I want to do that. So I would like, I'm going to be a comic book artist, and I would try something and I'd get frustrated because there's so many things in life that I was so good at just right off the bat that nobody was like, okay, some things aren't going to be easy for you and you have to take time and practice. Like I just never had that influence. It was just always like, I'm not good at this. I'll never be good at, and I'll toss away. So I never saw myself as creative until I started doing some web design stuff. And I was like, wait, I can practice this. And there's certain things I can learn. And creativity, yeah, there is some natural talent behind it, but I'm like, it's also a skill that can be harnessed and you can practice. And you know, when you do things over and over, you just get better and better. And then I was just like, okay, like I gotta create and everything. Like I always had a wild imagination, but I just never thought I would be a creator.
Yeah.
And everything. But, you know, like I said, when I did web design, I started coding and everything. And I was like, oh, I can create stuff. I might not create the most beautiful things in the world, but like I could create things that make me happy. And because of that, I said, I'm a creator. For the rest of my life now, I'm a creator. Like no matter what I do, I'm a creator.
Was there a start point like that?
When I built my first, it was probably when I built my first web page back in, who knows, like 95 or 96, whatever. Like
I hope it's 96 because that was me. Microsoft front page. I built a client site.
Right. Like here's some HTML. And I'm like, wow, there's this thing. I did this thing. Everything. I was like, done. I'm set. Like, I was like, for those who haven't had that feeling of creation, I don't know. There's nothing. I mean, I'm sure there's some other things that are better, but I mean, it's like when those feelings, like just being able to look at your work and be like, here's what I found. This is ugly. Like somebody else like, this is ugly. This is, but you're like, no, I created this. Like, this is my thing. Because it's my thing. Like that's my joy and everything. And you can't take that away from me and everything. So
yeah. And how you said that creativity is like a skill. I think a natural curiosity lends itself to being a creative person. Yeah. Because with that curiosity, you can refine any sort of skill. Like if it's like from programming to fine arts, like anything in between, but the curiosity to explore it, that's the thing. That's the magic.
My curiosity is probably one of the reasons why I'm a decent creator, in the sense where I just explore so many things that there might be some aspect of coding that I can bring into poster design or something, right? And I just had these connections that I built, but I would never get it if I just stayed focused on one thing. Yeah. But my curiosity is just taking me to a million different things and everything. So
yeah, I feel like it was Rogan at one point that said it, but I don't even know now. Maybe it just came together. But like being interested keeps life interesting. That's something that's always stuck with me, because there is just that's what it's all about. So where we started with this conversation, like basically, if we're not growing, what are we doing? Why are we here?
Right. And so it's like, well, I have the Boopie design and ragtag design, and people are like, oh man, like the merch you design is like unbelievable. How'd you get to that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I like street fashion. I like all that kind of stuff, but I also like the minimal design of other things. And I'm like, somehow I just put them together, and I didn't know I knew how to put them together, but I will go in and I put it together, and you know, it kind of works. But it's like NFTs, like a lot of NFTs don't lend themselves to merch. Like they just don't look good on shirts and everything. And people are like, why doesn't it work like that? I was like, because they weren't designed with that thought. They were just designed with this thing. But if I designed this little Boopie here that has like no body, I'm like, this thing's perfect. It goes on anything. But that's also like the business mind that was thinking, like, how can I use this thing and like really push it and continue to go over and over again? So
yeah, there's a beauty in simplicity. It's removing the superfluous. Wow, I can't say that word right now, but you know what I mean.
Right.
So
right.
I wanted to ask you, one thing that I find so fun about Boopies is that they have nose eyes. Like that they have like eyes, nose eye. I mean, there's so many just fun things, but there's something about that. I've never seen anything like that, and it gets me every time, and I love it. I don't know.
It's so funny when I first presented these, people were like, "Where are the eyes? Like, what things are the eyes?" And I never had a definitive answer, because when I created it, I was like, I'll let the world's imagination decide it. And they were like, for the first 2 weeks, they were just debates. Like, no, we like the nose eyes, we like the mask eyes. And that's the tough thing about minimalism and doing minimalist design is, can you do it in a way that you tell just enough of the story where the imagination can run with the rest and everything. And I was like, if you can do that, then people go, oh my God, like that's an amazing design and everything. A lot of the NFTs that you'll see that you might go, I see they're trying to make this look good, but it doesn't look good, is probably because they try to be over detailed. Like there's so much detail in the stuff, there's just no imagination left and everything. And so it just kind of sits there and it's like, But like people told me, like, I remember I did the Boopie and I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. And I showed it to people. I'm like, that is so amazing. I'm like, are you serious? Like, it's like 3 circles and everything. Like, what are you talking about and everything? But
I think
I'm
that's
glad people love it and
yeah,
everything.
and that's a really valuable point right there. Just that leaving room for the imagination, like that's in storytelling. Is if you're explaining every single detail, like it's no longer you're no longer invested. Like the actual listener, watcher, viewer, whatever it is, they lose that investment. That's I hadn't thought about it in NFTs, but I really like that perspective.
But and if you also like read my lore, I'm not super specific about things. But like a lot of writers, like you got to be really detailed and everything. And I'm like, no, because I want people to imagine and I want their brains to go that I'm just narrating a path for them, but I want them to imagine the whole scenery and what could be and everything, because their imagination is going to do a much better job than anything I can come up with for them and everything.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Could you give a little breakdown of Boopie, Ragtags, historians, artists? Like, there's so many that I think just a little. I know it's like a lot, but what's sort of the gist of that umbrella?
So, I'm working on a new website. A new website does a much better job of clarifying all this, because this was literally like a hodgepodge of like, I had this idea, let me do it, and I create this collection and everything. So the way it's set up now, Odd Wonderful is the Disney. You could say Boopie is Marvel, Ragtags is Pixar. We also have Juju Maru now, which if Disney owned Pokemon would be like Pokemon and everything. So that's just kind of have to look at it. Within Boopieverse itself there's a Boopieverse Gen 0, Gen 1, a Gen M, then there's historians, and then there's like special auction off type of Boopies and everything. Ragtags have a V1 and V2. Juju Marus right now only have 1 collection. But the idea is with the Odd Wonderful platform, no matter which one of those NFTs you own, there's going to be a specific universe for it and certain realms that you can go in, and you can go on these quests, and it's basically, because people will have to see it if you know the choose your own adventure books, like that's what it is. All right, it's not a metaverse thing where I'm trying to code up something. It's just like, no, it's storytelling, and you choose what happens next to your character. And the main reason I did that, well, 2 main reasons. One, I'm not going to try to code any 3D crazy metaverse thing, because I don't know, whatever. But I also thought, like, adults are into NFTs. These are the people who are trying to get in. They don't have time to be sitting in the metaverse and try and do like, what is this person with this full-time job going to do? Where can they just go into their phone, open it up, read some text, make a decision, be happy with the decision, be sad about the decision, and then move on and everything. And so it's very like centered around that kind of thing, because I do want to bring in the world to things. So when you're looking at anything that I've done, if it's Boopieverse related, just think of that. It's a totally separate collection. Ragtag is its own universe, and then Juju Maru is its own universe. And there's actually 2 more collections soon. I can share my screen with you real quick if you want to see my screen.
I mean, but I'd be all for it.
let me see if I have it up real quick. All right. So we have the Boopies. These are the historians within Boopies. Juju Maru, Ragtag, and I can't say if I am or am not working on Mysticals and what I call the Dapalongs.
Cannot confirm nor deny. Right, those are amazing.
Like, it's those things. And so, but I also like the idea, going back to the whole subscription thing, is that like there's so many creative people that I want to work with and everything, but they obviously require money and everything. Yeah. And so having that subscription, I can at least say, okay, I'm dedicating this huge chunk to be able to work with these 4 artists for the season and everything. And let's just go out and create just wild stuff that really push the envelope with things, and let's just have fun with it and everything. Yeah. And like, I think that's what the artists I've worked with so far, like, hopefully they enjoy working with me, because they're always like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I'm like their best hype man. I'm like, that's so fucking sick, man. That's awesome. Let's do this. And like, they're like, okay, what are my boundaries? I'm like, there's no boundaries. Like, I want you to go wild with something and everything. Like, this is where you find your joy. I want you to have fun doing this and everything. And let's see what happens. And so like some of the historians just have just the designer. When I talk to him every day, I love the guy. he's like very serious about his design and everything. And so everything was like very straight laced and everything. And I was like, you could go wilder than this. I was like, I said, you could get weirder with this. You could get way weirder with this. And he's like, so he did one thing and he's like, how's this? I'm like, not weird enough. And I just kept on pushing him until he went out so far. He's like, I kind of like this. I kind of like what's happening with these things and everything. And like, that's just what I want to do. I want to work with other creative people and push them to boundaries that they didn't know existed for themselves, just so they can look back and be like, that was great. Like that was just a great experience overall and everything. So
yeah, I love that. Yeah, that is looking out for everyone, top down, artists through collectors, which is so super commendable. And like the way that I think businesses and projects and things should be run. I mean, it makes sense. We're all people. We all deserve that level of respect.
Right. So, I don't know. That's just always been my upbringing and everything. Like, because when it comes to money and stuff, I'm always of the opinion like I can get mine. I don't need to screw you over to get my stuff. If I can't figure out how to get my own money, then I probably shouldn't be doing any of this.
Yeah.
Anyways, and everything. So because I have that mindset, me going out of my way to help people, like it doesn't bother me one way or another. Because I'm just like, I'll get mine no matter what. Like, let's just have fun with this and let's see where we can take things.
Yeah, I really feel like kindred spirits here. Like everything you're saying around that's the entirety of how we built our business as well. Like I love this. I don't want to take too much of your time. This is
I don't
awesome.
want to take yours. I don't want to take yours and everything. I know we had a scheduled time.
No, like this is awesome. I feel like we're going to have to do this again, whether it's recorded or just chatting, because I love this conversation was amazing.
I think people underestimate how hard it is to find similar minds that think not exactly like, but going along the same path.
Yeah, you're in a similar mind space. So like like-minded, but in the best way possible. And it's such a rewarding moment to find that. So I'm so glad we had this conversation.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely got to carry this further and let's see where we can push things.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is awesome. So where should we send people to check everything out?
When do you think this is coming out?
This will be 15. I think this is 4 weeks from Monday. 3 or 4 weeks from Monday.
Okay, then oddwonderful.com.
Nice.
It'll be ready.
That's exciting. Yeah,
if you want the NFT stuff, if you want to see everything, just go to makersmob.com.
Yeah,
that'll explain everything.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, because you got so much going on. So
if you get lost in my world, it's not my fault and everything. I'm not liable for anything that happens.
No, I like it. I liked it. I was laughing to myself with every new thing that I found because I'm like, I like this guy more and more. So it's great. But yeah, thank you again. I really appreciate this.
No, this has been an unbelievable conversation. I've enjoyed every second of it.
Yes, me too. I want to thank Paul for joining me on this episode. That was a phenomenal conversation. And as he mentioned, you can go to oddwonderful.com or makersmob.com. That's makersmob.com to learn more about NFTs or just everything that he's up to. But yeah, that was so much fun.
It was really fun.
Like I feel like we're going to have more conversations, whether it's on the show or not. There's something there. We're cut from a similar cloth.
Well, yeah, it's just phenomenally motivating too. And just hearing somebody who's like, no, I'm not going to just stop with this one thing. I'm going to keep making more. He had like 80 projects on the screen. And I like when he's like, it's not my fault if you get lost in my world. I love that. I was silently cackling over here.
No, it's perfect. But that is the thing. It's like he's creating an experience and he's so respectful of everyone from artist through collector.
Yeah, just that thought like makes you rise even higher in my eyes, my puny little lady eyes.
He's silly. No, but that was awesome. So thank you everyone thank you, the listener, the person who is listening or watching right now. Thank you directly. Are you laughing at me over there? Is this what's happening? Are you laughing?
This is me laughing at him.
No, but yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you, Amara, for assisting as always. This is awesome having you on the intro, outro. I really like this. It spices things up for me.
Let me know if you like it in the comments.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you give us a thumbs up, leave a comment, hit subscribe, it all means a lot. But with that, I think we'll wrap for this week, and we will see you next time.